Yo, what's up? Let's be honest, who actually enjoys watching marathons? I mean, the appeal of most sports is watching either big men beat each other up or beat each other up over a ball. But marathons are the complete opposite. No one's getting beat up, and instead of big men, it's a bunch of guys jogging for 3 hours. The one thing marathons have going for themselves is, as far as sports go, it's pretty simple. All you need for a good marathon race is a track, some water, and a bunch of skinny Ethiopians. But what if I told you, somehow, we as a species still managed to completely screw up setting up a marathon event? And it happened in St. Louis. So it's 1904, and the World Olympics are being held in St. Louis, a city best known for this arch, and also a murder rate that makes Chicago look like Disneyland. Now usually, when you think of the Olympics, you think of the largest, most respected organization that shows just what the finest athletes are able to achieve. But in 1904, not so much. Okay, so for one, there was no marathon track actually laid out for this race. Instead, the track for the 1904 marathon consisted of dirt roads with jagged rocks and passed through the main city of St. Louis, which means these runners were trying to make record time while trying to dodge everyday pedestrians, cars, and whatever else St. Louis has going on. If that's not good enough, this race took place on an afternoon in August 30th, which means the weather outside was 90 degrees, or 32 degrees Celsius. But hey look, it might be 90 degrees outside, and they're dodging pedestrians, trains, and cars for this race. But at least they can feel safe knowing that they got water, right? Right? Enter James E. Sullivan, the guy who is the chief organizer of the race, and coincidentally, a guy also wondering how humans deal with water deprivation. So he decided to test that during the Olympics. So this whole race only had one water source, a well which was 11 miles into the race. And finally, look at this lineup. Do you see any worryingly underweight Kenyans here? No you don't, which means this race has already failed all three things needed for a good marathon. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Here are some of the contestants that did take part in this race. Okay, so first we have Frederick Loors, a New York City bricklayer who trained the marathon in his free time. There was Thomas Hicks, a brass worker from Boston, two South African men named Len and Jan, and Albert Corey, a Frenchman who didn't even have the right documents to be in the race. Alright sir, I need your documents. Oui, I have it right here. Bruh. Gertrude Lewinsky? I might look a little different. I lost some weight. Another contestant of the race was a 5'1", 95-pound man, and definitely the comedic relief of this whole fiasco, Felix Carvajal. So Felix was a Cuban who was a mailman by trade, and technically not even invited to the race. Felix raised the funds for this by running for tips across Cuba, which got him enough money to take a boat trip to America, where he immediately lost all his money gambling in New Orleans. So to get himself through the 700 miles between New Orleans and St. Louis, Carvajal hitchhiked and ran his way to the event, and by the time he showed up, he hadn't even eaten for 2 entire days. And with that, the stage was set. Under the humid St. Louis heat, professional marathon runners, people who had put all their free times to making this dream happen, and a really hungry Cuban readied themselves to make their mark in history. And immediately issues arose. Okay, so first of all, remember how I said most of this race was run on dirt roads? Well, the organizers of the event followed the general crowd of runners with cars, one in the front of the pack and the other behind. Yeah, this seems completely trivial until you realize these cars were kicking up massive dust clouds that the participants then had to run in. The dust clouds, on top of all the other things, meant participants were falling out of the race left and right. One of the American runners, William Garcia, was literally coughing up blood because of the dust clouds and had to drop out of the race. And he's not the only one. For one reason or another, many runners ended up coming to the conclusion that this just was not worth it. Meanwhile, Felix, who at this point had not eaten for 2 days, saw some random spectators munching on peaches. So he asked if he could have the delicious peaches that they were eating, which they denied, and so he stole them and made a run for it. Len, on the other hand, being African, already had a lot of experience not having water. What he could not have planned for though was a pack of rabid dogs that ran him completely off the course. And by the time the dogs gave up their chase, Len was almost an entire mile away from the route of the marathon. Yeah, overall the race was not going well for anyone, except Felix, I guess. But that was until Alright, no water, check. Runners dying in dust clouds, check. Rabid dog screwing over the first black representation we've ever had in the Olympics. Check. Alright, things are looking good. It's probably going to be a while till anybody makes it past this finish line. That's right. After 3 hours and 13 minutes, Frederick Loers gracefully ran into the finish line. And looking no worse for wear considering he just put himself through 40 miles of hell. Despite all the challenges presented by this race, either purposefully or accidentally, this beast of a man was first to finish, with a mind-boggling lead of 15 minutes before the second guy in running. Pun definitely intended. And Frederick got the champion treatment that he deserved, including the cheer and admiration of the entire audience, a gold medal, and almost a picture with the daughter of Teddy Roosevelt when, good job, Frederick, you did amazing. Oh, wait a second. Psst, 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 psst. Frederick? Yeah. Did you do what I think you did? Okay, I might have had a Poland Spring bottle on the way here. No, not that, dumbass. Did you drive a car during a marathon? No, what? No. Yup, Frederick Loers, the initial guy who won this entire race, only won because he drove 11 miles of the race with his manager till the car broke down, and then he decided to start the marathon for real. And in doing so, blew past a completely demoralized and real first place, a very, very dehydrated Hicks, who after seeing how well Frederick was doing, was on the verge of quitting, but continued after he found out about Frederick's disqualification. Alright, so this whole thing has been pretty embarrassing for everybody involved, but I wonder what Felix is up to. Oh, he's still going strong. Wait, okay, looks like Felix is getting a little hungry again. Luckily, he's near some apples. Dang, I bet those taste so good after 2 hours of running. Uh-oh. That's right, after taking another impromptu snack break, Felix made himself violently ill from eating some rotten apples, causing him to take a nap in the middle of a marathon. Anyway, back to Thomas Hicks, who at this point was really at his last straw when his trainer pulled out their secret weapon. What was it? Rat poison mixed with brandy and eggs. See, there's this compound called strychnine, which along with its many uses in rat extermination, is also a 5-hour energy before 5-hour energy even existed. That being said, the other side effects of strychnine are extreme difficulty breathing and completely uncontrollable and debilitating muscle spasms. This also does technically mean that Thomas Hicks was using performance-enhancing drugs for this race, but that's really peanuts at this point. So throughout the entirety of this race, Thomas Hicks was given 2 milligrams of strychnine mixed with brandy and eggs, which nowhere can I figure out why this mix specifically. Like maybe his trainer had him drink brandy because brandy isn't water, so he didn't piss off the chief organizer. But alcohol also literally dehydrates people, which would only make Hicks' situation worse, so yeah, I don't know. Maybe the brandy was to make Hicks forget about his pain, or maybe he was trying to mask the taste of the rat poison with brandy. And then the eggs. Why the eggs? It's almost like he had these on hand and was like, fuck it. Anyway, at this point, Hicks was really starting to break down. And because of the strychnine and dehydration, Hicks was cramping up and his skin started to take on a grayish tone, which I didn't even know it was possible for humans to do that. Hicks also started hallucinating things, and I think it's fair to assume that he probably wasn't even conscious anymore. In the end, Hicks was so exhausted that he ended up collapsing just in front of the finish line, and was carried over by his team as he kept on trying to run in the air. Throughout the entire ordeal, Hicks lost an astonishing 8 pounds, which made me initially think, holy shit, did this man shit out his liver? That is ridiculous. But no, come on, that's crazy. No, Hicks actually shat out the equivalent of 3 livers. Hicks never even got to celebrate, as the second he finished, he was carried over in a stretcher to 3 doctors who immediately provided medical aid to him. Except this was 1904 doctors, so if we're being real, Hicks probably just got a pity get out of heaven for free for now card from God that day. There also was a picture that showed the extremely disheveled face of Hicks after the race. This is the face of victory, and also being drunk, cramping from rat poison, and probably contracting salmonella from unpasteurized eggs. Oh shit. After his nap, Felix would be 4th to complete the race, only behind Gertrude, the illegal French, and Arthur Newton, who did nothing funny the entire race, so I didn't talk about him. In 9th place was Len, which considering he had to run an extra 2 miles in this race, because of the dogs, is a pretty impressive achievement. And then there was Frederick Loers. Now while initially he tried to write off his whole car thing as a big joke, the officials were not too impressed, so he received a ban from the Olympics. You know, I think unlike most of my videos, I can actually pull out a moral from this story, which is drink water. Also, a little bonus, after Felix's performance in this event, he was funded by the Cuban government to go participate in the 1906 Olympics in Athens. But the second he landed in Italy, he went completely missing, during which literally no one knows what he was up to. And this caused everyone in Cuba to think that he died, and he even got a funeral and an obituary, only for him to show up a couple months later with no explanation of what he got up to in Italy. Anyway, that was the 1904 Olympic Marathon. Consider liking and subscribing, and have a great day.